Good morning. Blessed Sunday. Hope you guys are well. This morning I just wanted to encourage you guys that in Psalms 35 we read that weeping may endure through the night, but joy comes in the morning. And that whatever you're going through, whatever trials and tribulations you're facing, that they will come to an end. That we have to keep our faith in God and endure to the end. The word endure has been in my mind heavily lately, actually, and just brought it to my mind again. So I'm going to read and share with you what I learned. Endure. Endure means to remain in existence, to last, and to suffer patiently. Okay, it's really important that we remain in existence. Okay, we have to remain in the presence of God, stay at the feet, at the hem of his garment, to last, to suffer well, suffer patiently. Patiently. You know, that's a hard word for me. I battle with patience. I battle with control and patience heavily. And I have all my life. And I'm learning how to endure and suffer through trials and tribulations patiently. I still battle with my flesh, as all of us do, where I can lose my patience and I may cuss. I may say, oh, it's never going to change. And we have to remember to stop saying those things, because as bad as it may look in the physical, we have to remember that we have a God that knows the end from the beginning, and that he is with us in it. He's not leaving us to fend for ourselves. The devil will play with our minds. He'll try to get in there and say, because of our circumstances, that they never seem to get better, nothing seems to change. He will play on that and say that God's left you, that God's forsaken you, that the situation will never get better. And then he'll get you to say those things out of your mouth. They're word curses. We have to speak in honor of God, speak in the truth of God, because we know that God's word cannot fail us. And his word clearly states us that he'll never leave us or forsake us. And when we endure trials and tribulations, they produce in us patience. They produce in us self-control. They produce endurance in us for other trials in the future. We can help others. We can lead others. We can guide others into the truth of God, because you can go back and remember back what God has done for you in the past. We have to remember the things we've been through previously and what God has done. You know, I have to be reminded lately, almost daily, of what God has done in my life just in the last 2 years. I don't think you guys understand, and I don't even think I barely understand, and I lived it. The hell and the horror that God took me from on addiction to crack and meth. I remember the nights and the days getting high and remembering telling myself, Nicole, you got to get off this stuff. You have a 4-year-old little boy that needs you. And I was sitting at a round table. Everybody had a pipe in their mouth with the crack on it. And I knew then that I couldn't do it without God. And it was the only God that got me through that. And the horrors that I seen on the stuff, God opened my eyes to see the spiritual realm. Oh, and it's ugly. It's terrifying to know that you can fall into the hands of a living God. You don't need to fear anything else. Remember where God took you from and endure this with patience and trust, and know that all seasons come to a pass. The Lord led me this morning as I was opening my word to go to Psalms 30, verse 5. But I landed in Ecclesiastes 3 because I already knew what I was going to speak on Psalms 30. But I didn't know what else he wanted me to go along with this message. And then boom, he opens it up to what he wanted me to share. So I'm going to read this with you, and I pray this blesses you. And remember to endure patiently, that God is with you no matter what you're facing today. And I know things can get really ugly in this world. I know firsthand. I've lived with a demon for a long time, and I'm not talking my own. Trust in God and endure patiently. I'm going to read Ecclesiastes 3. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet, a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Every season has its time. Endure patiently, family. I love you, and God bless you.